Inside NASCAR, a weekly 30-minute look at the men and machines that make up the world's most popular motorsport. With your host, Ned Jarrett and Steve Burns. Brought to you in part by Piedmont Airlines, the official airlines of NASCAR.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside NASCAR. This is the home office of NASCAR and the International Speedway Corporation, which owns the Daytona Speedway, which is just back of the Speedway offices here. We won't have highlights of the Pepsi Firecracker 400 because it was just run on Friday. We'll have that for you next week.
But we do have a lot in this half hour, particularly a major story has unfolded for 1987.
A new team will make a big impact in 1987. Darrell Waltrip, Waddell Wilson, and Rick Hendrick will join their many talents to form what many people are calling a dream team.
And we'll talk with Robert Yates, one of the premier engine builders in the sport. Yates left the game early this year, but he's back in business, and you'll find out why.
We'll also address the issue of fire safety. Accidents can cause what drivers fear most, flames. You'll see how teams prepare for the worst to ensure the driver's safety. We'll also have a mailbox and much more, so stay tuned.
At Piedmont, every one of our jets gets a regular checkup. We take it apart, go over it inch by inch, check out hundreds of thousands of rivets, and examine every one of its over 92,000 parts inside and out. Piedmont's physical fitness program. Over 2,000 people who never get off the ground help keep us the up-and-coming airline.
Enter the world of Timex quartz. Great looks that can take a licking. The Timex Triathlon has an 8-lap memory chronograph. It's for men and women of iron. This Timex sports quartz is water resistant to 100 meters. The Timex Black Max quartz, flat out excitement. The world of Timex quartz is tough to beat.
Welcome back to Inside NASCAR, everyone. Ned, you've seen changes in the sport of NASCAR racing in your association with the sport for some 30 years. We've seen a lot of changes in terms of safety, but perhaps none more important than that of fire safety.
We did a story on fire safety about a year ago on this program, and we've had so many requests to run it again. When I was driving a race car, fire was the thing that we feared the most. But thank God there have been a lot of improvements along that line over the years.
Hopefully in the event of a fire, you won't be knocked out where you couldn't get out of the car. That would be the biggest thing, is not being able to get out of the car. Once this fire gets started, if the fuel cell is ruptured, especially if we're right after a pit stop when we have 22 gallons, that could be very dangerous.
Although fires don't occur nearly as often as they did in the early days of racing, the fact still remains fire is the #1 fear and concern of drivers.
In the Grand National cars, we're separated from our fuel compartment by quite a bit of distance and firewalls and a lot of safety equipment that we have to run. But still, we do worry about fire. It can happen. And I try to give myself as much protection against fire as I can, because that is the #1 concern I have when I get in a race car.
Fire can rip through a car in a matter of minutes or even seconds. So if a driver finds himself in the midst of a burning car, whatever needs to be done fast. What's the first thing a driver's going to do?
They'll pull this pin, push this button, which will set off this bottle. It's filled with halon, and it kills the oxygen in the air, and it'll give the driver a chance to get out.
Now, this extinguisher is on the left-hand side of the seat. Will certain drivers put it in different places?
Yeah, some are mounted in the center of the car, but where they're within reach of the driver.
But again, the most important thing is they're going to get out as quickly as possible.
Oh, yeah, because fire is about the worst thing that can happen.
Back in the early 60s, legends like Fireball Roberts, Fred Lorenzen, and Ned Jarrett battled it out door handle to door handle, much like they do today, but lacking the fire safety features we have in today's racing. Back then, stock cars were required to run stock parts, which meant simply parts you would find on your own car. That also included the gas tank, which hung on the bottom of the race cars just like it would on an ordinary street car. Some drivers would put fiberglass around their tanks for added safety, but that just wasn't enough. In 1964, Fireball Roberts was involved in a tragic fire at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, which sadly enough resulted in his death. As a direct result of that accident, Firestone developed the first fuel cell, which is a safety compartment designed to hold the fuel. This innovation is said to have been the single biggest development in fire safety. Well, Marv, we have the fuel cell here sitting outside the car. Everything here is actually housed inside this, right?
Yes, this is a metal can which houses this bladder, which is full of this foam that absorbs the gasoline.
Now this looks kind of unusual, Marv. This foam actually sits inside the bladder?
Yes, this bladder is completely full of this foam.
It looks like it'd take up a lot of room.
It takes about 2/10 of a gallon for this foam.
And that's all out of 22 gallons?
Yeah, the gas goes right through this foam.
Huh.
And it prevents the gas from running out at a fast rate when the bag is punctured or cut.
So then actually this foam helps slow down the flow of the gas in case we have a puncture. It'll keep it all together?
Yeah, it holds the gas in until safety crews can get to the car if it happens to be cut.
Okay, what do we have here, Marv?
We have it's called a receiver. The fuel comes in here to fill this bladder, and if the car gets upside down, it also has check valves in it to close off all the gas going to the outside.
And it'll cut off any other gas getting out?
Yes.
Well, Mark, for people who don't get a chance to see, this is actually where the fuel cell sits inside the car.
Yes, and this is a hold the fuel cell can in. This is the receiver, this is the vent hose, this is the oil tank for the engine oil.
There will always be a certain number of calculated risks a driver will take when he climbs into his car. But steps toward reducing those risks, especially fire, are very important. Well, Phil, what are some of the things that you as a driver can wear for fire prevention?
Well, there are a multitude of things. We'll start from the bottom up. I wear Nomex socks made by Simpson Sports Equipment, and I wear the Simpson shoes, which are fire retardant. They're made of Nomex, which just about everything that's fireproof that Simpson makes is made out of Nomex.
Now, when you say Nomex, that's a fire retardant material?
Right, exactly. It's much like asbestos in that it's not really a heat insulator, but it's a fire insulator. You know, there's a popular misconception that asbestos is a good heat insulator, but it's really not. Actually, a piece of carpeting would be better as far as heat goes than asbestos, but it is a fire retardant substance, so that's something we put in the floor of our car and things like that. But we have the socks and we have the shoes, and we go up to the uniform, which is 100% fire retardant. Even the cuffs on the bottom and the top are a fire retardant, and also wear the gloves made by Simpson, which are Nomex. It's got some sort of a vinyl type material or leather type material so you can get a good grip on the steering wheel.
Unfortunately, the chances of fire in stock car racing will always be hanging overhead. But with developments like the fuel cell and today's fireproof clothing, It may be hanging overhead, but hopefully not striking down. Ned, we saw the awful accident that Fireball Roberts was involved in, and you had a personal involvement in that accident. You were the first one to the car, and you bravely pulled Fireball from the wreck.
I'll tell you, that was a tragic day for the world of motorsports, Steve. And it's too bad that someone has to lose their life to open the minds of engineers to do something about it. But thank God it did happen. When we come back, we're going to talk with Robert Yates, who is back in business again, one of the most respected engine builders in all motorsports. Stay with us.
A clogged fuel injector can make your car slow, sluggish, unresponsive. But only 2 tankfuls of advanced formula Mobile Super Unleaded can actually start to unclog fuel injectors. To give your car a new injection of power. Mobile Super Unleaded, high octane, with a plus.
Friends, each week we at Inside NASCAR receive hundreds of letters with lots of questions about NASCAR racing. And I just recently found a book that has a lot of the answers to those questions. It's the official NASCAR 86 yearbook and press guide. In it you'll find 288 colorful pages chock full of facts and interesting information about NASCAR racing. If you'd like a copy, just send a check or money order for $5, which includes postage, to Yearbook in care of Inside NASCAR, Post Office Box 240417, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28224.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. In February here at Daytona, Robert Yates, who was the chief engine builder for the Dyegard racing team, quit his job. But a contractual situation with the team would not permit him to keep building race engines. But he has worked things out now so that he is back in business.
He left for the private industry sector to do some synthetic fuel research, but he said he just couldn't stay away from racing. It's in his blood.
Start your engine.
The sound is unmistakable, the angry, churning scream of an engine turning 8,000 RPM, gobbling up asphalt in a matter of seconds. And believe me, if you haven't been to a race in person to feel that sensation, it's hard to describe. You're surrounded and swallowed by power. In this game, if you don't have horsepower, you don't have a chance. The world of the engine builder is highly competitive. The best mechanics in the world. Reputations are built on one factor, winning races.
If you really think you have the skills to do it, it's hard to sit down or go fishing or play golf or do anything else. You just, you want to go out and you want to beat the, you just want to stay busy and work and beat the other guys.
Robert Yates has been building some of the angriest engines for nearly 20 years. He spent the last 10 years at Dyegard and helped power Bobby Allison to the Winston Cup Championship in 1983. But the once proud Dyegard operation began to crumble last July 4th. Although a Yates engine powered a Dyegard research and development car driven by Greg Sachs into victory lane, the handwriting was on the wall. Bobby Allison quit. Crew chief Gary Nelson wasn't far behind. And just 2 days before this year's Daytona 500, Robert Yates had had enough. He left the game he loved so much for private industry.
I couldn't handle the programs we were working on at the time. We just had gone downhill, whether it was my fault or it's just a combination of problems that we'd gotten into. We had to stop and start over, and I think that was what really everybody that worked for Dyegard at one time needed to do.
Robert left to do research on synthetic fuel, but it wasn't long before he missed the grind that had taken so much out of him.
I worked all week. I'd go to Greenville, stay in a motel 5 days a week. I was home on the weekends. I told my family, I said, "Now you're gonna see me on Saturday. I'm gonna find out what people do on Saturdays. I'm gonna cut the grass on Saturday, do all these things." But it rained some Saturdays, and then and there was a race on most Sundays. So on Sunday, I'd go to church, and I would need to do that, and come home and watch the race. And Carolyn would say, "You're not happy being here. You'd rather be at the race." I said, "Well, it's just as much tension, to be here." And you see somebody always won. For some reason or another, somebody always wins every race. So you look at them and say, "Shoot, I could be part of that." And I just want to get back into with potential winners.
Robert has set up his operation with the men he wanted, and they are currently building engines for Tommy Ellis, Jeff Bodine, and Joe Ruttman.
I really enjoyed just getting, seeing cars run up front and out in the lead and this kind of thing. It's just something that I think, I get people all the time begging, would love to do this. And of course, a lot of them would quit after the first week of working 100 hours, but there's a lot of hard work behind the scene than what you do on Sunday. But it's what I enjoy doing. It's my golf game, my fishing, my whole deal. The thing about this business, I've always said, is if you win, you're going to be there at 6 o'clock Monday morning working. If you lose or you blow up or something, you have to be there. So you're going to be there one way or the other. You can't stay home if you win. The first place you want to do is go to work. So it, it just piles up. And the better you do, the more your adrenaline flows, the more you work.
As long as Robert has the adrenaline flowing and can go head-to-head with Ernie Elliott, Waddell Wilson, and the other premier engine builders, he and his team are one happy bunch.
To do things that working with, it's that team effort, that support. The other guy's supporting you. That's really what it's all about. And we support a team, and they do well. It's just a feeling that you get inside that money can't buy.
Ned, Robert will be the first to admit, once you get that racing bug in your system, can't get rid of it.
Well, I'll tell you, it is tough to get rid of. I can vouch for that. There's another top engine builder that's in the news this week. They're talking about the dream team of NASCAR. We'll have that story and the mailbox when we come back. Stay with us.
Texaco's new formula Haviland Supreme challenges the world's most expensive motor oils. Synthetics like these and Haviland both exceed car makers' warranties, and both meet or exceed industry standards for wear, cleanliness, and rust protection. But only Haviland comes without the high price. Texaco's Haviland Supreme. High-quality protection without the high price.
Available at your local Kmart Automotive Center.
In 1969, man flew farther than ever before.
You're looking good. So are you, Houston.
But as far as flying has come, it still has a long way to go, especially flying to many smaller cities back home. At Piedmont, we fly to places other major airlines don't, linking the smaller cities with the bigger cities over 1,000 times a day. Because Piedmont believes a trip here shouldn't feel like you're making a trip there.
Ned, we've heard a lot about the formation of that dream team for 1987. When you're dealing with three of the biggest hitters in the sport, news gets around pretty quickly.
It certainly does, and I don't think the news was meant to come out this week, but it did. It had been rumored for months that Darrell Waltrip would leave the Junior Johnson Budweiser team and go with a new team that Rick Hendrick would set up. It would be his third team with Waddell Wilson as the crew chief. Well, it became a fact this week.
Well, this is something that's been we've been talking about for a good while, and Rick and I have been friends for a long time, and we run boats together, and we've been associated, with the boats and being friends, and one thing led to another, and then Darrell got interested in it also with Rick through a Honda dealership, and the three of us decided to do it, and we felt it would be good for all of us, and we finally went ahead and Darrell and I told Rick that we would sign up with him for 87, but the thing we have to do now is continue on for 86, and we have 8 races to go, and I want to give Harry and Kel all I have left, and hopefully we can win some races between now and the end of the season, and you know, whatever we do now is going to still reflect on us, and we want to give it all we have, and then when we go with the new team next year, we'll do the same then.
Ned, we should mention that nothing has been signed contractually yet between Waddell Wilson, Darrell Waltrip, or Rick Hendrick. But if in fact it does come to be, it's going to upset the apple cart as far as next year goes.
I'll tell you, it's going to open the doors for a lot of shuffling around in the last half of the season, and I think we'll see one of the most interesting last half of the seasons that we've seen in a long time. And Steve, that must have been a tough decision for both Waddell Wilson and Darrell Waltrip to make, to leave the teams that they've had so much success with. Waltrip has won 3 championships and 41 races since joining Junior Johnson 6 years ago.
And you know, Darrell and his wife Stevie are very, very fond of Junior and his wife Flossie, so we know for a fact there's no animosity there.
No, not at all. Now it's time for the mailbox.
Let's catch up on it. Our first question today comes from Earl Smith Jr. of Summit Point, West Virginia. Earl writes, what weight oil is used in racing engines, and is anyone using multi-weight oils? Does the engine require more than the regular 5 or 6 quarts? And is anyone experimenting or using synthetic oils? For that answer, we go to Gary Nelson, who's Jeff Bodine's crew chief.
Okay, Earl, your question about what oils the Winston Cup teams are using is one that has many answers. You know, it wasn't long ago, all we used was 50-weight racing oil. Then we started using 40-weight racing oil. That led to 2050 racing oil. And now we're to the point where we're using 10W30 Exxon Uniflow that is really the same oil that you can use in your street cars. You can buy it right at the service station. And most of the engine builders are that way. You know, they've gone away from the racing type oils and gone to the detergent, the low viscosity multigrade oils. It's something that I think has really been worked out in the oil industry for the automotive use. The oil quality has become so good that this is plenty good for the race cars. We use about, I don't know, 12 quarts of oil in our car, where a passenger car may only have 4 or 5 quarts. But you've got to remember, 500 miles in a stock car is like, I don't know, 50,000 miles in a street car. So we're real happy with the oil that we're using. Synthetic oil is something that you brought up, and I don't know, it may be the oil of the future, but right now there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of questions that need to be answered before we can actually use them in the race cars. You know, a lot of the engine builders have looked at it and come up with kind of mixed feelings on it, whether it'll withstand the temperature and the stress that we will put on it in the race cars.
Well, that's another thing that has changed in our sport. When I was racing, we used strictly 50-weight oil, but engineering has caught up with us. Now for our second question, which comes from Maurice Haynes of Nashville, Tennessee. What effect would the barometer reading have on a race engine, and what has to be done to a race car because the atmospheric pressure has changed? For the answer to that question, we go to Lou LaRosa, who is the engine builder for Dale Earnhardt.
Okay, Maurice, I appreciate you writing us, and we'll be glad to answer your question. The engines that we run in NASCAR are what we call normally aspirated engines, and that means it doesn't have a supercharger or a turbocharger. It's just the atmosphere pressure working through the carburetor is what feeds the gasoline to the engine. A barometer, normal barometer at sea level is 29.92. If you get higher than that, naturally you'd have more pressure, and inside the engine you have a vacuum. It would be lower than 29.92. And the more pressure you have in the atmosphere, the more fuel would help push into the engine, to be simplistic. If you had a low barometer, like you had a storm coming or a bad front coming in, and the barometer was down around, say, 28.92, you would have less pressure differential, and therefore you would make less horsepower. You don't have the same effect of pushing the air in, and that's one of the things we did on a dyno for our correction factor. Basically, what you would do there, with real low atmosphere pressures, you can give the engine a little more timing, and you could lean the motor down somewhat at the racetrack to try to pick up the horsepower.
Friends, if your question is used on an upcoming segment of Inside NASCAR, you'll receive this beautiful Timex stopwatch. Timex is the official timekeeper of NASCAR, and this watch is just like the ones the NASCAR teams use. In addition, we'll send you this new 1986 NASCAR yearbook and press guide. 288 colorful pages full of exciting information about NASCAR racing. Write to us today at Inside NASCAR, Post Office Box 240417, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28224. And thanks again to everyone who writes.
I'm afraid our time's up for today. Hope that you enjoyed the show. Be with us here next week when we'll have an exclusive interview with Bill France Jr., president of NASCAR, who sits in offices behind us.
And we'll also have highlights of the Pepsi Firecracker 400, so be with us next week.
You're tuned to the right station for Inside NASCAR.
The following companies have paid a promotional fee to Inside NASCAR. The Pit Golf Links, one of the nation's most unique championship golf courses. Survive the challenge of the Pit if you can. The newest addition to the Pinehurst tradition, the Pit, Pinehurst, North Carolina. Ground transportation for Inside NASCAR is provided by Choo Choo Custom Vans, Chattanooga, Tennessee, specializing in Chevrolet, vans, pickups, Blazers, and Astros. Inside NASCAR's high-performance camera car, this turbocharged Regal Grand National, provided by the Buick division of General Motors.